Up with News 8.
And thanks so much for being here. 6 a.m. on this Thursday. Glad you're with us, getting a little closer to the weekend. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Netta Iramport. Just don't mess with my oat milk, because that's what I really count on.
No,
every
I know
day.
you do.
A good old oat milk latte is like my favorite thing. But good morning, everybody. Yeah, hopefully your day is starting off nice and smooth, nice and frothy in that latte, perhaps. But we are looking at overcast conditions with the cloud coverage out there. Marine layer back in full force today. It rolled in pretty early last night, I would say. So some of you didn't get much sunshine yesterday, but that's the view from Cardiff. Here we are looking from Mount Soledad. There's Mission Bay right in the front there, and then downtown San Diego. So as you can see, the clouds are sitting above Mount Soledad. It could be misty for some of you. Yet another misty morning with the marine layer in full effect. Temperatures this afternoon a little bit warmer than yesterday before that heat builds in time for this coming Labor Day weekend. Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning to you, and welcome to your Thursday. You know, I keep refreshing the CHP page just to make sure I'm not missing anything, but no, 6:01, things look really quiet out there. Really no updates since of last night, so no major crashes out there. To the South County, I think the Coronado Bridge is starting to build up ever so slightly, but up to the north, really nothing happening.
Right now, the search is ongoing for survivors after that Navy helicopter crash off of our coast. 5
sailors are still missing. Only one has been rescued. News 8's Chris Groh joining us live outside Coast Guard headquarters. That's downtown San Diego with the very latest now. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Eric and Netta. Look, we're still waiting to see if we might be able to get an update this morning, either from the Coast Guard or the Navy, about those 5 missing crew members. Again, those search and rescue operations, as far as we know, still going on at this time. They told us that they were using both surface and air maneuvers as well as vehicles to try to, again, locate these 5 missing crew members. But yesterday, we spoke with some former Navy pilots as well as former Navy sailors to try to get an idea into the mindset of what exactly some of these crew members may have experienced, but then also to get an idea of why certain routine operations, like the one this helicopter was going through, are always dangerous.
They are the best trained in the world. It is still a dangerous mission, even though we call it routine flight operations.
And look, that was former Navy pilot Jim Kidrick. He's also the CEO of the San Diego Air and Space Museum. Now, as for the incident itself, the helicopter, an MH-60S, took off from the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln about 60 miles off our coast, but something happened. Again, what happened is still under investigation, but it led to it crashing, and again, 6 crew members were missing. One of them was rescued, remains in stable condition, but 5 are still out there. The Coast Guard and Navy continue their search and rescue operation. It's unclear again what happened, but an additional 5 Navy sailors were injured on the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln. They're expected to be okay, but now all focus is on finding those that remain missing. One former Navy sailor we spoke with says he and others are still holding out hope for the best possible outcome.
There's hope. Yeah, the level of confidence I can't speak to, but it is possible that they are okay.
Now on the USS Abraham Lincoln Facebook page, family members and friends of the ship's crew have posted messages of hope, praying for a good outcome. We know that the entire San Diego community and abroad, again, holding out hope for these 5 missing crew members. But to stay up with the latest updates, including if we might be able to hear from the Coast Guard or Navy later on this morning, be sure to stick with News 8 throughout today. Eric and Netta.
Can you believe this video? This is not a pipe bursting. This is rainfall. And this morning, several deaths being reported in New York and New Jersey as Ida's remnants drench the Northeast.
New York City is under a state of emergency, and CBS correspondent Bradley Blackburn joining us live from New York now with the latest. Bradley?
Eric, pictures can be deceiving. The sun is out right now. There's not a cloud in the sky in New York City, but there is still a real threat from water. The city has flood warnings in many parts, and the death toll that you mentioned is likely to rise in the coming hours. The city's subways are still crippled. There are problems across this entire region.
Look at that tornado!
Storm chasers captured these images of a twister touching down in New Jersey. Ida continues its relentless march north as tornado watches and flash flood warnings were issued across large parts of the Northeast Wednesday night. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy declared a state of emergency. Here in New York City, the National Weather Service issued its first ever flash flood emergency for parts of the city. In Central Park, 3 inches of rain were recorded in a single hour. That appears to be a new record. Floodwaters surged into this New York City apartment and turned this wide boulevard into a lake. The retractable roof at the U.S. Open Tennis Stadium wasn't enough to hold back Ida's rain and wind, forcing this match to be called off. And parts of the subway system taking on a waterfall of rain from the sidewalks above. In Pennsylvania, a Good Samaritan rescued a family in their car, carrying a child to safety.
Somebody needed help, I went for it. I've been in this situation before, nowhere near this bad.
Earlier, tornadoes touched down in Maryland and flooding inundated large parts of the state, driving residents from this apartment building where a man died and another resident was missing.
We have about 150 people that are displaced.
In New Orleans, hundreds of thousands remain in the dark and heat after Hurricane Ida knocked out power throughout the city. Around the state, residents lack running water and are lining up for essentials like gasoline.
Everyone is being very neighborly and cordial, and we're just going to keep fighting through.
Tomorrow, President Biden is set to visit Louisiana to survey the damage. And what's left of Ida is still moving northeast. Most of it is off the coast now, but parts of the storm are still over Massachusetts where it is dumping rain, guys.
Bradley, obviously a lot of danger with all the water, especially there in the subways. We saw some of that video. What are city officials telling the commuters there this morning?
They are asking people to avoid traveling if they can, Eric, and especially for those subways and commuter railroads. They want people to avoid using them at all because the trains are just not back online yet. The water could continue to collect in the subways, in the drainage systems, and so they need to see how this plays out in the coming hours as they try to get things restored.
Well, a lot of folks in New York City going to be doing some working from home here today, that's for sure. So Bradley Blackburn.
Underground there.
Yeah, appreciate that live report there in New York City. And this just in here, speaking of working, thousands of jobless claims were reported last week. 340,000 is the actual number. That is the lowest number we've seen since the start of the pandemic, and it was slightly better than expected. It's a good sign for the economy as more people go back to work.
And today we expect to hear from Cajon Valley Union families who made it out of Afghanistan and the effort to get others back. One local family still there. Congressman Darrell Issa and other local leaders have spent the past few weeks coordinating their safe return. But now that troops have left Afghanistan, they say it's more difficult.
The biggest problem right now is that it is far too dangerous to try to go hundreds or 1,000 miles across land borders. And none of the borders are really, truly open.
In the meantime, the Biden administration says there are still 100 to 200 American civilians in that country. The White House is using diplomatic and economic pressure to make sure the Taliban lives up to its word and allows those U.S. civilians to leave. The United States Supreme Court will allow a Texas law banning most abortions to stay in place. The court voted 5-4 to deny any emergency appeal to block enforcement of the law that went into effect yesterday. Now, that law prohibits abortions once medical professionals can detect a heartbeat. That's usually around 6 weeks. That's before most women know that they're pregnant.
This morning, the Calder fire has grown to over 200,000 acres. Crews have made some progress, with containment reaching 23%. But it turns out the flames aren't the only dangers to firefighters right now. An entire strike team is now sidelined and in quarantine because of COVID. The fire is still threatening South Lake Tahoe. Crews could get a bit of relief as the winds begin to subside there today, and we're going to have a closer look at the firefight here in just a few minutes. But those winds can really help out in that firefight. It'd be nice if we got a little moisture, though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you want to just distribute that rain, right, from the northeast to the west. We need a little bit of it, just a couple drops, please. But no rain in sight for us for a while. In fact, high pressure is going to take a hold of things here over the next couple days. That's going to impact Northern California, bringing on temperatures that are going to be above average, and then us here in San Diego. Diego, yes, where our heat will be on. You saw that view right there with the cloudy skies at our beaches, and that's what you're waking up to all across the board here. I know it's kind of hard when we don't have daylight quite yet, but as we wait for the sun to come up, you'll see a little more of that on our satellite imagery. Our visibility, it's somewhat low in Oceanside, down to 4 miles, but overall don't see much patchy fog forming. There may be some mist coming in with our deeper marine layer yet again today, kind of similar to what you had yesterday. Although it does look like by about noon or so that sun should be out for most of San Diego. Yesterday, North County, those clouds just wanted to hang right over you. The South County area was all nice and sunny pretty early in the morning yesterday, but that was not the case a little bit up north. Downtown San Diego right now, 71 degrees. As you see, we do still see, of course, overcast skies for the next few hours, but the sun should be beaming on us and temperatures will feel a little bit warmer than yesterday because of that. High pressure is going to head towards us, but not quite yet. So today is below seasonal. 68 degrees right now in El Cajon. It's 68 in Chula Vista, 70 in Julian. Look at that in Borrego, 70 degrees right now. It is cooler in Borrego Springs than it is in downtown San Diego. That is very rare to see. So the little bit of a cool down for our deserts yet again this morning. Our relative humidity, you notice that moisture in the air. You're probably noticing it if you're trying to straighten your hair. It's up there, but in the mountains, it's down into the teens now. So those numbers are dropping as onshore flow does not impact the mountains as much. That puts us at more of a fire risk. So I wanted to point that out. But coming up, I'll get into the details of your afternoon highs as we head into the holiday weekend here very soon. Jenny, good morning.
Good morning to you. You're going to like this traffic report because, again, I keep checking and not much has been changing at all. Very quiet. It is a holiday weekend. That is true. So perhaps people are taking an early day off here. I will zoom into the South County just to show you. Yeah, tiny bit of volume at the tail end of the bridge, but no crashes reported. Quick check of the North County. It's starting to build up ever so slightly south on the 15 from the 78, but otherwise, hey, happy trails to